So welcome everyone to today's webinar for the one-year Dutch program organized by Linguapolis, affiliate with the University of Antwerp. I'll start by introducing myself. So my name is Andy Vermeulen. I'm responsible for the administration regarding the one-year program. So whenever you send emails or contact someone with regards to the program, chances are 99% of the time, you'll end up with me on the other side. So I'll be answering your questions. With me are Ms. Sabine Steemans, who is the coordinator for Dutch at Linguapolis and also for the Dutch language year. And we also have Ms. Charlotte Teunis with us, who is here for IT support in case everything goes wrong. But let's hope that doesn't happen. Okay, so before we start with the actual webinar, a few ground rules, a few instructions to keep in mind. So if possible, if you have a camera, please keep your camera on. It's always better and nicer for communication and interaction. Also, mute your microphone when you are not talking. You've noticed already when someone has a microphone on, that there's some white noise. Sometimes there's a chicken in the background. It's not something that's beneficial to a webinar. If there are questions, please leave them until the end of the webinar, and then you can just put them in the chat and we'll go through your questions one by one. And finally, important to mention is that this webinar is being recorded, well, except the Q&A session at the end. So everything's recorded except your specific questions. All right. Okay, then to continue, I'll give the floor to Ms. Steemans, who will give you a first impression of what the one-year program is about.
Okay, thank you, Andy. So welcome to all of you. As Andy said, I'm Sabine Steemans. I'm the coordinator of the Dutch courses at Linguapolis, and I'm also the coordinator of the prep year. On the slide, you see all the topics that we will cover in this webinar. So the reasons to choose for the prep year, what the contents of the prep year is about, well, the fact that we are an established institution and that we have a proven approach. Andy will go on with the admission requirements and the application procedure. And of course, then there's the Q&A, the questions. And as Andy already mentioned, these questions are not being recorded. So feel free to ask any questions you like. Okay, then why choose the, we will start with an interactive session. I want to give you a taste of what our teaching is about. So even in this webinar, I want you to engage. Yeah, that's the way that we also want students to be engaged during classes. So we have a poll. And the first question is, do you know someone who has already followed the Dutch year, the Dutch prep year? And we noticed that a lot of people are very satisfied with the prep year and that they encourage friends to come over and join the prep year afterwards. So I think my colleague Charlotte will launch this question now in a poll. Do you happen to know someone who already knows the prep year? So please click on yes or no very quickly, and then I'll send, and then we will see the results of your answer. So you don't have to put it in the chat. You just click on yes or no. I think you have a pop-up screen that has the same question and then the yes or no, and click on the blue button that says send. I hope we can have a look at the results. I see that we have now 14 people, so including us, so I think 11 students joining us, and I do not know what the results of the poll are. Charlotte, could you please, maybe I you know. Okay, I'm seeing the results now. I think all of you do. Am I correct? Yeah, so only 30% in this group. Okay, well, that's fine. Then I think you have to click on ready. The next poll is, yeah, you will be living in Belgium. You will be learning Dutch. Do you already know a Dutch word? Yeah, you're interested in studying Dutch for a whole year. Is there one word that you already know? So you can type that word in your pop-up screen and send it to us. Yeah, just if you happen to know a word, you can send it here. Yeah. And I think the words are already popping up. Yeah. So as I said, you have to type it in the pop-up screen and not in the chat, because that will be a bit of a mess. Okay. Yeah. So alsjeblieft en dank. Yeah, danke are indeed important words to know, to thank someone, to say please. Yeah. And een beetje. Some people seem to already know a little bit of Dutch. So that's nice. Yeah. The program starts from scratch. You know, we start from the beginning, but we go very fast. So if you already know some Dutch, it's very good. Yeah, we always encourage people to start having a look at the Dutch language, and we also send some homework to prepare before coming over to Belgium, some elementary Dutch to study before coming over, so that you have a sort of quick start. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's fine for this. And then I think we go over to the last poll question. That's, yeah, coming over to Belgium. Some of you, I think, are living quite far from Belgium. Do you have things that you already know? Maybe you visited Belgium before, or you have an image of Belgium. So what are the things that can you name things that Belgium is known for? Okay, now I think I got rid of the poll and clicked the poll. Andy, do you see the answers of the poll now? Because I think I made a mistake by clicking it away. Could you say what people are typing in?
I can see telex, fries, chocolates, beer, waffles, historic, frietjes, music bands, beautiful buildings. Top answers are fries, beer, and chocolate.
I'm glad you all know that fries indeed are not French fries, but they are a Belgian invention, and that we have the best fries in the world. So I'm glad that you're already aware of that fact. Yeah. And historic buildings, indeed, if you come over to our university, as you can see in our background, we have these beautiful buildings at the University of Antwerp that look very ancient. They date back to the 17th century, so that's really historic. Yeah. Okay, thank you for joining these questions. I will go over to the reasons why you would take part in this Dutch Prep Year program. So the idea is that during the prep year, you are already a real student of the University of Antwerp. You are not just someone taking a course here in Belgium, but you are a real student of the university, and you will learn Dutch as quickly and intensively as possible. Yeah? There is no faster program than this program. A program that takes you from the beginner's level up to the B2 level that is required to study at the university. We guarantee, as you already saw or read in our brochure, that you will be having classes from our most experienced teachers. You will not be having classes from junior teachers, but only from senior teachers that have a lot of experience teaching Dutch, to ensure that you have the highest quality of teaching. So learning Dutch, of course, is your aim. You want to reach this B2 level, but all of our students testify at the end of the year and when we meet them again later that they have made friends for life. It's such an intensive experience that the people that you are with in class, they will become your friends for life and your network for life. We ensure that we're not only dealing with the language, but that we also take you on a journey in Belgium, a cultural and social journey that will really enrich your emotional life as well. Okay, then we can go on to the content of the Dutch prep year. So it's a full-time intensive program, full-time study program, which means that it entitles you to a student visa. Contrary to other prep year programs, we do not only have language acquisition classes, but we also have 3 other subjects. So the language acquisition, of course, is the most important part. You will be having 11 hours of language acquisition per week, but you also have 2 hours of academic study skills that prepare you to study in higher education. We devote 1 hour a week to Dutch phonetics and pronunciation. We think it's really important that you acquire a good accent because people judge you when you're talking Dutch very heavily on your accent. So we make sure that you are coached in phonetics and pronunciation during the whole year. And then, of course, the culture of the Low Countries. Yeah? It's lectures, but also it's not only lectures, but it's also cultural activities. We go on a day trip to Ghent. We take you to a lot of musea, and we make sure that it's not only language, but also culture. And then also very important is the Taalmaat project. Taalmaat, maybe some of you can already understand what this Dutch word means. It's taal, which means language, and maat, which means friend or mate in English. So it means that you will be brought into contact with Dutch-speaking students of the university, and that you can do a lot of activities with them. You can even go to classes with them. You can practice your Dutch with them. But it's not only to practice your Dutch, but also to get to know real student life. We, as your experienced language teachers, unfortunately are a little bit too old to, to show you the real student life. So we make sure that you meet people from your own age that can also show you what being a student in Antwerp is really like. So we think that with this prep year program, we really make a difference contrary to other prep year programs in the way that we focus on other subjects than language, special pronunciation classes, academic study skills, and culture. And also we have this very special program that makes sure that you meet people from your own age and people who speak Dutch. These are people, Flemish students, but also students from the Netherlands. But they all speak Dutch as their mother tongue, and they will be able to help you and learn you also informal language that we do not deal with in classes. So we make sure that you have a very enriching experience when you come to Antwerp and join the prep year. So that's about the content of the prep year. And then, as I said, we have a lot of experience teaching Dutch. These are the people that are the key team members of the prep year team. So you recognize me and Andy in summer, in summer outfit. And then the other teachers you will meet when you join the program. So they are all qualified, of course, and experienced language teachers, senior language teachers. And apart from the teachers who, of course, teach the classes on campus, we have also a very good digital platform that allows you to do a lot of drill exercises, a lot of watch videos, whatever, as extra and as homework. I think we will now watch the video. You can play it again at home, but we will have a look at it now. It's a video in Dutch, but with subtitles. So you can already try to pick up some extra Dutch words already when you watch the video. As you can see, we have these beautiful courtyard in our university that we're very proud of. And the video is set here or starts here.
Jaarlijks volgen 1500 cursisten uit meer dan 100 verschillende landen bij Linguapolis en taalopleiding Nederlands voor anderstaligen. Het gaat om intensieve dag- of avondcursussen in modules van beginners tot gevorderden.
Jane, welke talen spreek jij?
Alle cursisten zijn hooggeschoold en hebben een vergelijkbaar startniveau in de doeltaal.
Een beetje. Niet een beetje, hè. Het is ook Antwerps dialect, hè. Jullie horen.
Om efficiënt en op een interactieve wijze te kunnen lesgeven, beperken we het aantal deelnemers per groep.
Ik kom met de bus.
Met de bus. Oké, en nu de bus. Komt hier iedereen met de trein of te voet? Oké. Welke taal spreek jij, Svetlana? Russisch. Russisch. Nee, niet primitief, niet primitief.
We vatten onze lesmethode samen als taal in actie. We trainen op de 4 vaardigheden: spreken, luisteren, schrijven en lezen.
Dit is exact 1.
Onze didactische aanpak is communicatief, interactief en taakgericht. We zorgen voortdurend voor interactie tussen alle deelnemers en verwachten een actieve deelname tijdens de les.
It has 5/4 middag.
We creëren voor iedereen maximale spreekkansen dankzij talrijke praktijkgerichte en functionele taaltaken. De klassikale momenten doorbreken we met groeps- en duotaken. De lessen verlopen in het Nederlands en we stimuleren de cursisten om het Nederlands ook buiten de les te gebruiken. Naast communicatie besteden we veel aandacht aan de vormcorrectheid van de taal. Wat je zegt of schrijft moet ook grammaticaal correct zijn. Linguapolis bereidt de cursisten zo voor op de strenge taalvereisten die aan hogescholen worden gesteld in het openbare leven, tijdens studies en op het werk.
Dit is identiek als ik spreek. Jouw. Jouw polo is rood. Jouw polo. Hoe gaat het met jou?
Linguapolis biedt ook een universitaire taalopleiding aan. Taaljaar Nederlands voor anderstaligen in een academische context.
Wat is de oplossing voor dit? Weet u?
Op 10 maanden tijd doorlopen de studenten alle niveaus van taalverwerving, van beginner tot hooggevorderd. Daarnaast volgen ze nog andere vakken zoals Nederlandenkunde, academische vaardigheden en
Maar
fonetiek.
het is alleen als de F de laatste letter is. Hier is het niet de laatste letter, de R is de laatste letter. Ja? Bijvoorbeeld in je boek, je neemt een fluo-stift en je markeert alle het-woorden met fluo. Dat je weet, ah ja, dat was in mijn boek fluo, dat is het. Zoek manieren om het te studeren.
Tijdens dit voltijdse jaarprogramma bereiden buitenlandse studenten zich voor op de interuniversitaire toelatingstest Nederlands voor anderstaligen.
Okay, so this gave you an idea of how we teach. Yeah? You noticed maybe that at the beginning of the clip, I was teaching more in a classic way, but then afterwards you saw people walking around with cards, asking questions, people working in groups on tables. So that's really the way we teach the language. So don't expect to be in an auditorium with 200 students just listening and being very passive. That's not what that's not the way we teach Dutch. Yeah? And we want you to learn Dutch. Okay, that was our approach. And then the next slide, the admission requirements. That's something Andy will tell you more about.
Yeah, all right. So this is quite elaborate. So a lot of things to know, a lot of things to do before you can be admitted to the program. So we'll go through everything nice and easy, and we'll start with the actual requirements. So the requirements to be admitted to the program, first of all, you need to be able to continue your studies in higher education in your own country. For example, if you can go directly from high school to university in your own country with your certificate, with your diploma, then your certificate will be sufficient. If by any chance, and I'm thinking about countries such as Turkey, I think, yeah, Turkey, they have a national exam So before going to university or college, they need to pass a national exam. We also need proof that you've passed that exam. So all requirements needed in your home country also apply for being able to be admitted to the one-year program. Another requirement that we ask is that you have at least an intermediate level of English, which is level B1. And you also need to be able to prove that you've studied English as a foreign language. If, and I'm certain some of you are in this situation, if your mother tongue is English, or if the language of instruction in your high school was English, then we also need proof that you've studied another European language as a foreign language. Reason for this is because learning a foreign language is already a very difficult endeavor. So the experience you have in learning European languages will be a big help in learning Dutch as well. People who don't have that experience are very likely to fail, which is why it's a hard requirement. If you don't have that foreign language learning, you cannot be accepted. All right, that's it for the requirements. Now let's move on to the application procedure. Here you see a quick overview of the procedure. We'll have a look at each step individually shortly. So we'll have a look at the application itself and the advance fee. Also the next step, which is the interview, the acceptance letter, again a payment, but of the balance, the admission, and finally, if all goes well, your arrival. So for the application, here is your first hurdle because there are several application forms that are available. I'll take you with me to the Linguapolis website. So you get this PowerPoint as well, this presentation as well, so you can follow the link here as well. Let's see. Oh, that doesn't work. Where's the link? There we go. It doesn't always work as it should. So if you visit our website, you can see here Dutch Preparatory One-Year Program, a short explanation of what it's about. And then you have your first choice that you need to make. There are students who need a student visa, and there are students who don't need a student visa. Depending on where you're from or your current situation, you'll have to choose either drop down. And I do mean specifically student visa. If you have, for example, a visa based on family reunification, then you don't need a student visa. Then you have access to Belgium, then you can come to Belgium without any issue. You can stay here. But if you need a student visa, then you need to select a different type of application. So let's have a look at those for students in need of a student visa. And then immediately you'll see that you have, once again, 4 different choices. You can see an application form for the University of Antwerp, preceded by the one-year program, also one for Artesis Plantin University College, one for Karel de Grote University College, and finally one for Linguapolis alone or in combination with another institute, high school, no, not high school, college, or university. I'll quickly show you what the application form looks like. So once you click one of the forms, you'll get something like this. The first few steps are already filled out. So you're an incoming applicant, you're a student for the Linguapolis language year, application period 24-25. Everything in yellow is important information, so make sure to go through that as well once you submit your application or once you apply. We need you to check some boxes that you've completed secondary education, that you have an intermediate knowledge of English, and that you have experience in studying a European language. Then we need some master data, so your name, date of birth, email address, and so on. We also ask for a Skype name. Why? I'll tell you later. Also, if you are currently a student, yes or no, and some more master data. Then once everything has been filled out, you need to send application, but that doesn't mean that you've submitted your application. I can't stress this enough. Once you submit, once you send application, should really be in a different button. You will get an email. And in that email, you get instructions stating that you need to confirm your registration, that you need to verify that is indeed you. You need to create a password based on your own credentials, your date of birth, and so on. And then the actual application form starts. You'll have to start uploading documents. You have to fill out some motivational, you have to answer some questions regarding your motivation, that's it. And also some information regarding your language. And at the very end, you need to verify that everything's correct and submit. And then we go back. Then it comes, then we go to the next step, basically. By the way, the reason why there are so many different application forms, and so one for students who don't need a visa, that's for everyone who doesn't need a visa. But we also have a partnership, a working relationship with the University of Antwerp, with AP University College, and with KDG University College. So if you want to continue your studies at one of these three institutes, then you only need to submit a single application. And they will check your application. They will notice, everything's okay, but yeah, Dutch is missing. The Dutch language requirement has not yet been met. And then they push it in our direction. So then your application is forwarded to us, at which point we continue with your application. And your application for the program at University of Antwerp, AP, or KDG is moved to the next year. All right. The reason why students in need of a student visa need to have two applications is because you cannot get a student visa based on a language program alone. So our program is eligible for a student visa, but you need to be able to prove that you're going to use that language to continue your studies in Belgium in a program taught in Dutch. So that's why we have those combination applications with these institutes. If you want to continue your studies at Leuven University or another university in Belgium, that's also possible. But since we don't have a working relationship with them, you'll have to submit two separate applications. One for us and one, for example, KU Leuven or UGent or any of those universities. Okay, that's it for the first step. So you upload all your documents, such as passports, transcript of records, certificates. By the way, if any of those documents are in a language other than Dutch, English, French, or German, you'll also need to upload a translation of those documents in one of those four languages. I know for some countries, I think Morocco, the certificates are already in two languages, Arabic and French. But if that's not the case, if it's, for example, just in Turkish, then we need a translation as well. Then you've uploaded everything, you confirm that everything has been uploaded and that everything is correct. Then the next step for you still is to pay an advance fee. And the advance fee is 2,000 euros. There are two different deadlines, as you can see. So one deadline is for students who need a student visa. The deadline is the 15th of April. Other students who don't need a student visa, they have more time. They have until the end of August. The reason why the deadline is this early on is because, well, the application for a visa takes a lot of time. If we put the deadline for the payment much later, all the next steps will be much later, and most likely you won't be able to get your visa in time. So that's why this deadline is so important. Then once we have received the payments, your applications will be evaluated. If something's missing, we'll ask you. And if everything's okay, if everything's complete, we'll move on to the next step, which is an interview. And remember, I told you earlier that we ask for your Skype name, and this is why. So the second step of the application is a Skype interview. So it's a live interview, a video chat in which we test 3 different things. So first of all, we test your level of English. You can say that your level is B1 or better, but we don't have any proof of that. So we want to test your level of English. Even with a certificate, sometimes they are 10 years old. So a lot can change in 10 years. So we want actual proof. A second thing we'll be testing will be your familiarity with the one-year program. Now, we don't expect you to know this out of thin air. We will ask you to prepare this by reading our study guides. Some of you who've already contacted us by email have most likely read it already. Or if you visited our website, you have come across it most likely. So you need to study that for a bit because you'll be getting questions about the program. And finally, also important is that we want to ask you about your motivation and why you want to come to Belgium, why you chose us. So general things about your motivation, basically. All right. Then, if again, you need to successfully complete each step. If you move on to the next step, the third step, that's to provide your legalized documents. There's a link here in the presentation, which you'll get as well, a link to the University of Antwerp website, where you can find some more instructions on how this is done. It's not the same for all languages, for all countries. For example, in some countries such as Morocco, an apostille will suffice. They simply add an apostille to the back of your document and that legalizes it. For other countries, it's a bit more complicated. So make sure that you know what to do and make sure to check the lists on this website as well. We ask that you send these in by post. But I know in the meantime, several countries also have the option to send digital legalization. So those are accepted as well. As long as it can be verified, it will be accepted. Important. Likewise, as you had to upload your translations of certificates, the legalizations you submit also need to be in one of the 4 languages I mentioned. So if you have a Turkish degree, don't send in a legalized Turkish degree. No, it needs to be translated first, and the translation needs to be legalized and sent to us. And again, there's a difference between students who need a visa and students who don't need a visa. So the deadline for students who need a visa is the 31st of May, whereas students who don't need a visa still have until the 7th of September. And that brings us to an important step for you, if you want to get your visa at least. So you'll receive a letter of acceptance from us and also from the program at the University of Antwerp, AP, University College, or KDG. For those programs, it's conditional because you still need to pass the language requirements. You still need to meet that requirement. So that's why it's conditional. And you need both of those documents if you want to apply for a student visa. Because as I mentioned before, language program alone will not suffice. You need proof that you intend to continue your studies. And that's where that second letter of acceptance comes in. Okay. Moving on. Then we're almost there. Lots of steps, I'm sorry. So the final step basically for you, which can be done from abroad, is the payment of the balance of the tuition fee. And there are 2 different fees as some of you may already have noticed. So for students who are nationals of EEA member states, so European Economic Area, it stands for, those students pay a balance of 2,795. So in total, 4,795. And for students who are nationals of countries outside of the European Economic Area, they need to pay a balance of 4,495. So a total of 6,495 if you include the advance payments. And then everything's complete, at least for us. So if we receive the payments, you are issued a letter of admission. You get a temporary one from us, which serves as I mentioned, a temporary document, also as proof that you've paid for the course. At a later stage, once you're in Belgium, you also get a more official document, which you will need to apply for a residence permit. Your student visa only goes so far. It's valid for 6 months normally. You need to turn that into a residence permit at some point. Useful information, good to know. If you are staying in Antwerp, so the city of Antwerp or one of its associated regions, I don't know the correct word in English, arrondissementen, it is in Dutch, then we can help you with your application for a residence permit. And we'll give you the information that we need, and we can submit the application for you. If you want to live somewhere else, by choice or not, then it's up to you, I'm afraid. We can still assist with information, but the actual submission of the application will need to be done by you. Okay. All right. And then if all goes well, you can come to Belgium, and then you can visit our wonderful city, the city of Antwerp. On your screen, you can see a few sceneries. Top left, it's of our Grand Central Station, Antwerp Central Station. Next to it, we have a view of the Scheldt, of the well-known river here in Belgium. And in the background, the big brick building doesn't look like much from here, but inside it's wonderful. It's the MAS, in Dutch, Museum aan de Stroom, liberally translated Museum at the Stream. On the far right-hand side, a famous building in front of the City Hall, statue of Brabo. And the final two pictures on the bottom left are both pictures taken here at the University of Antwerp City Campus. Okay, that's all I have to say for now. So this